Hello everyone, William here. I want to talk about a document I found in the Ottawa Citizen today. It's titled Defense Officials Hid Cost of Nortel Campus Renos. And I'll just go on to read the document. Senior Defense Department officials kept the multi-million-dollar price tag for renovating the Nortel campus under wraps, worried the public, media, and parliamentarians might raise concerns about the bill if they found out about the cost. Last week, the Citizen reported DND will spend more than $600 million on preparing the Nortel site to be its main location in Ottawa. That is on top of the $208 million the government spent to purchase the Carling Avenue campus. So they spent $208 million, and they're going to spend another, they've already spent another $600 million on a building. Okay, it's not even a very big building. Okay, so it's almost $1 billion. In an email statement, DND officials claimed they did not know the cost of refitting the Nortel location, but documents obtained by the Citizen show DND not only knew about the cost a year ago, but senior officials ordered references to it removed from public statements and documents. So they knew about it, and they didn't want to tell anybody about it. So they're obviously covering it up, right? So it's a blatant lie and deception. I'll go on. Some officers say such tactics are just the tip of the iceberg of DND efforts to keep information from the public. They point out recent examples, including the decision not to inform Parliament about plans to spend $477 million on a U.S. military satellite. That's quite astonishing, $500 million there. While it is common for ministers to keep close tabs on information being released to the public, media and Parliament officers say efforts by the Conservative government and Defence Minister Peter MacKay's office have reached new levels of control. The main effort is to reduce the risk to the Minister of questions being raised in the Commons or embarrassing articles in the media, they say. So they're reducing risk by not telling you what they're spending, and they don't want to be embarrassed because they know the amounts they're spending are outrageous and would make people irate, because really it's our money they're spending, and they're spending it without asking us whatsoever. MPs only found out about the expenditure when they read about it in newspapers. So they don't tell people about this, they just spend it, and then it gets found out about in the newspapers, and by that time it's already too late because the money's already spent, and the media will report about it, but nothing gets done. They just pass off all kinds of justifications as to why it wasn't reported about, and it's like, oops, sorry, another boondoggle, whoopsie, and no one pays for anything, no one gets fired. They may ask a few questions here and there, but eventually the issues just get swept under the rug and nothing changes, right? So it's just like open theft. Rather ridiculous. I have a phone call. I'm going to pause and continue this. Okay, I'm going to move on here, part 2. It says, but MacKay's office says the minister embraces openness and transparency. The Department of National Defence and the Canadian Forces have a robust communication policy that is centered on the provision of open and accurate information, spokesman Jay Paxton wrote in an email. So this is a good thing to say if you're robbing a bank or something. When the cops stop you, just say, I have an open and robust communications policy. And the police officers should then step back and say, oh, okay, and let you off. Alright, so this is how our government operates. We'll go on. Fonberg did not respond to an interview request. However, in an email, DND noted in the case of Nortel the Department and Public Works, quote, must request project and expenditure approval from government through the requisite submission process, and until such time cannot speak to cost estimates. The email did not explain why the costs for Nortel overhaul were originally to be made public but removed after Fonberg raised the issue. The email added that DND always strives for openness with regard to requests for information. So this is another thing you can say if you're robbing a bank. I always strive for openness, and the police will let you go. Those claims of openness, however, can be limited. On Friday, DND informed the Citizen that if it wanted to find out how much taxpayers spent for the military personnel and other services provided to the Halifax International Security Forum for 2009 and 2010, it would have to obtain those through the Access to Information Law. That process can take between 6 months and 2 years. So that's another thing you can say if you're robbing a bank, saying if you want any information from me, officer, please obtain that through the Access to Information Law. Okay? So outside consultants brought in by DND have also concluded that there is excessive secrecy when it comes to spending the public's money. While it is common for governments to want to control some information, Liberal Senator Colin Kenny says the situation at DND under the Conservatives has spiraled out of control. Okay, so they're spending so much money that they're not exposing or informing the public about, that it is spiraling out of control. Imagine that. There is, however, one area when DND and Canadian Forces senior officials will react quickly. That is when McKay finds himself under fire, as was recently the case when media outlets reported about his use of Challenger jets. The reports noted nearly $3 million was spent to fly McKay around the country for a variety of reasons, including political announcements and a flight to his home riding so he could attend a lobster dinner. It was also reported McKay used a search and rescue helicopter to pick him up at a private fishing lodge. So these people can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and spend as much as they want of your money. McKay has denied any wrongdoing, with his office claiming many of the flights were to attend a repatriation ceremony for fallen soldiers. Okay, so he's there grieving for the death of soldiers, apparently, right? Chief of the Defense Staff, General Walter Natinchik, something like that, came to McKay's defense, and in a message to all Canadian Force members, he praised the minister and suggested the media's use of the $11,000 an hour cost for the Challenger jet was misguided. When we fly the minister in CF aircraft, it is not only because his duties require it, but also because we are proud to support him in his work and confident in his personal leadership. Staples said Canadians should be concerned with the growing secrecy since DND spends $20 billion annually. Even some inside defense headquarters believe DND is being less than forthright with the media and public. On November 16, 2009, a DND official made the observation in an email about the information being released publicly on the troubled Cyclone helicopter project. There's always the media line and then the truth. So he said publicly there's, two different ways of saying it. We say one thing to the media and then there's the truth. So we are lying. I mean, how blatant can it get? In turn, DND prepared a response in case journalists asked questions about the offending email. It is DND policy and part of the culture of Canadian forces to always provide the most complete and accurate information to Canadians as possible, he adds. So it's like saying, we always tell the truth when possible. Isn't that totally ridiculous? Unbelievable. Like, I mean, I'd like to do a calculation, because when we hear numbers like this, it just sounds like a number and a word, and it doesn't really give us any sense of the full impact of what's actually happening here and how badly we are being robbed by these people. I mean, it is absolute theft. I mean, a person who robs a grocery store or a corner store for $100 just to survive will get thrown in jail, while these people steal millions and billions of dollars blatantly and obviously, and nothing happens about it. And we trust these people. And I mean, how can this be justified? Like, how can I explain it? How about everyone in Canada send me $100, and I'll use this money to go downtown and I'll ask these people questions right in their face. Now, would you trust me to do that? That's a good question, isn't it? Why should you trust me? You know, do I need that much money to go downtown and question these people? Obviously not. Like, I mean, it's a little bit much, but yet you trust these people and they openly rip you off. I mean, seriously? Is this how our money system operates? Like, right in your face, I am stealing from you. Like, how much more information do we need? Like, when will we realize, like, what's actually happening? And the point is, these people are no more deserving than anyone of having money. Equal money would solve this problem completely, whereas everyone's making the same, so there's no question as to how much gets spent on what. I mean, everyone has equal money. It's common sense. As opposed to these people just hoarding all this cash and spending it on military. The military is there for killing. That's its purpose. It's to terrorize people and kill people. And this is where your money goes. So if you think you're such a good person, you know, realize that while you're working at McDonald's and Burger King and Tim Hortons and all these places, your money is going directly to the military. Your tax money, which is anywhere from 25 to 75% of the money you make, is going to the military. That's where it's going. So this is just some perspective, and I hope people respond and give me your feedback on this, because really I can't see any way to justify this behavior by our government. Unbelievable. Alright, thanks.